Hi guys, my name is Kirsty and welcome to Upside Down Books. I'm getting so excited because the Alphabathon round 4 is starting tomorrow and I can't wait. I'm so excited for that readathon. It's not even funny. If you don't know what it is, then feel free to go and check out my announcement video. I'll link it down below for you, but it is a week-long readathon that is happening based on the alphabet, so please come and join us in. I am a co-host on it and it's going to be so much fun. But today we are here to talk about my October book haul. Because I have an obscene amount of books. I've just suddenly gone from like not been buying too many to suddenly having just heaps of books. I have so many books to show you today and it's only the 22nd, it's the 22nd of October, so there are several reasons why I have so many books this month. At the very start of the month, my sister was visiting from Melbourne and we were going to all the shops and seeing all the sites, and of course that meant we went into a few bookstores. Now, I was down in Fremantle, if you know where Fremantle is, in Western Australia. It is south of Perth. And there is a beautiful secondhand bookstore there whose name I cannot remember, but I absolutely adore this secondhand bookstore and I almost always buy at least one book when I go and get something from there. Following on from that, we then visited a regular bookstore and I found a bunch of books that I've had my eye on but that the main bookstores have not had. So I don't know how that works, that the independent bookstores have the ones that the big ones don't, but it's fine by me. There was also then a sale and I received a ton of books for review and a few audiobooks. So, you know, really was an out of control month, but let's get going. The first book that I got from that secondhand store, and the only book, is The Reptile Room by Lemony Snicket. Now this is the second book in the A Series of Unfortunate Events series, and I'm pretty excited to dive into it. I really enjoyed the first book. I like the film. I'm not so keen on the Netflix series, so I'm curious to see how well this holds my attention, but I figured I might as well get the second book in my hands so that I can read it when I want. And look at that, it even has deckled edges. Okay, so moving on to the books that I got from the independent store. Beautiful bookstore though, and I got 3 books from there and I'm super excited about them. The first one is A Jigsaw of Fire and Stars by Yaba Bado. This one has like the most beautiful cover in the world. Like, I think I might have finally found a book that is prettier than Rebel of the Sands. This book is about a girl who has frequent dreams about being washed up from a shipwreck, and in her actual life she is raised by like a group of gypsies, and the plot I think is that someone comes looking for her and she finds out that those dreams are not dreams but actually they are memories, and I don't know, let's just face it, I'm here for the cover. The cover is just too good. But I've not seen this in any bookstores except for that one, so I was so thrilled to actually see this on the shelf, and so I bought it. The next book I picked up I wasn't intending on picking up anytime soon, and that was The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. The reason I wasn't planning on picking this up anytime soon is because I hadn't actually read the blurb. Honestly, I still haven't read the blurb. Gingerbread golems? Oh my goodness. Okay, but the point is, the reason why I picked it up is because this entire book is illustrated on every single page. Every single page has a marvellous illustration on it. So I opened that up and I saw that and I went, well, I mean, I do love Leigh Bardugo, and seeing as that has illustrations, obviously I have to get it in my life because, you know, that's how these things work. The final book that I found in this bookstore was Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. Now, you might be saying, I thought you said these were books you couldn't find anywhere else, but literally I could not find this in the mainstream bookstores. That for whatever reason they weren't stocking Renee Ahdieh, and I don't understand why. Is she not like one of the most popular YA authors for retellings at the moment? Is she not? I think she is. So when I saw this one, I thought, you know what, I have to get it, because a Mulan retelling, that's where life is at. We need more Mulan retellings in our life. The next book I have for you is Updraft by Fran Wilde. Now this is the November book club pick of the month for the book club The Squabbling Dragons, which is my very own book club that I run with one of my friends. I'm very excited about this book. We will be starting reading this on the 17th of November, so make sure you go grab a copy if you want to come and join in with us. We have so much fun in that group and we have been reading some really great books. This one is a sci-fi novel, could be fantasy, and I believe it's about a city where people get wings to fly and there's trading and then something goes wrong. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure how to describe what this book is about, but the main character has to win her wings in order to, I don't know, come of age or do something cool, but then she starts finding out secrets and starts questioning whether her city can still be the way it is or whether it will be forever changed. I don't know. Go read the blurb yourself. I'm really selling this to you right now. But it sounds really cool and there are flying people in it, so you know. Right, let's move on to the books that I got from that book fair I was telling you about. Every now and again there's a cute little secondhand book fair that kind of goes around a few suburbs in Perth here, and they are fundraising money for building a school or funding a school over in Kenya, in Africa, which is just awesome. I think that's such a great cause, and the books are like between 50 cents to $2. So that's literally where I think maybe 30% of my bookshelf has come from, because I go and I load myself up with about 20 books and then I walk out feeling really good about myself, and then I never read any of them. But that hasn't stopped me from still going this time. However, I was really good. I only got 3 books. And I feel like I have pretty good reasons for getting them. Like, I could have walked out there with none. None of them were random impulse buys. No, that's a lie. They were all random impulse buys. But with reason. So the first book I have is the 3rd book in a series that I haven't even started, and that is The Tainted by Glenda Lark. This is the 3rd book in the Isle of Glory series. I don't know what it's about. I'm not sure. I've read the blurb of the first one since like 2 years ago, and I'm not going to read the blurb of this one because I might spoil myself. Why do I have this one? Because it's $2 and I really like the way that the covers look. I think they're kind of pretty, and they have like really nice spines. I don't know how to describe this, but they have lovely rounded edges. So when they're all sitting next to each other on the bookshelf, they look great. That's literally the only reason I bought this book. That's literally how shallow I've become. I got it because 2 didn't look as good as 3 looked on the bookshelf. So at some point, probably in 10 years time, when I actually go to read this series, you know, let's pray that I like it. The next book I bought, I cringed a little because it is in such bad condition, but that is Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold by Terry Brooks. I don't know if I've ever really discussed it on this channel yet, but I really like Terry Brooks. I've read exactly one of his books. Do you know what it is? I think anyone whose name sounds something like Brooks, I think I end up with an infatuation of. Because I've read one of Geraldine Brooks's books, and now I'm like in love with everything she writes, so I think there's a trend here. Terry Brooks is a fantastic high fantasy author, like, oh my goodness, fantastic high fantasy author, and when I finished reading that book, I added every single one of his books onto like my wishlist, TBR, whatever you want, in order to buy some. And I saw this one, and I'm pretty sure this one's actually quite hard to get your hands on at the moment, at least from the bookstores that are available to me in Australia. I don't know, it's like kids fiction, it's got a really quirky title, and it's Terry Brooks, and it was like $1. So I don't see what harm I've done by grabbing a copy of this one. The last book that I got from this book fair was Odalisque by Fiona Mackintosh. Why did I get this book? I got this book because I was sort of guilt-tripped into buying it. There was a lovely lady there, the lady that was sort of monitoring the sale as it was going on, and I spent like a solid hour walking around with like 1, then 2 books in my hands, and so she came up to me and was like, is there anything you're looking for? Because people just don't understand. You just need to be with your books. Just be in that bookstore for several hours. But she asked me if I needed anything. I said I was fine, but she was combing through the fantasy section with me and kept recommending stuff. And after like 10 minutes of solid recommendations, I thought, well, these books are like $1, $2. I'm gonna have to buy a book to show that I appreciate the time and effort she's put into showing me some of her favourite books. I mean, like, come on, raise your hand if you've ever done that before. But this one sounds pretty good. She was pretty keen on suggesting this author to me. It has a nice orange cover. It's quite a nice sized book. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. Seems like there's a girl, someone dies, someone wants to escape, there's a dwarf, and then... So I don't really know anything about this book. I mean, I guess we'll find out, but I'm probably not going to read this anytime soon. This was literally just a guilt buy, as a way of saying thank you for recommending books to me. I disgust myself. I have resubscribed up to Audible, so that means that I'm also now getting audiobooks. My life is out of control. But even better than that, I've actually got a couple of books to show you. So what happened last month is, backstory. Last month I re-signed up with Audible thinking I was doing it correctly to try and find a audiobook in Italian that I would be able to listen to. So I had a look to see if Alice in Wonderland was in Italian. It was just one of the simple books that popped to mind. Although Alice in Wonderland's not a simple book to read in another language, but whatever. The point was, it wasn't available in the Australian Audible bookstore. So I was looking on the American Audible bookstore without realising it, signed up, purchased it for like the free first book, and thought, oh, that's odd, I shouldn't have got another free one because I'm re-signing up, I'm not new. Things snowballed, and it turned out that I ended up subscribing back to both the American and the Australian one. So this month I realised that I forgot to unsubscribe from the American one, having got the Italian version of Alice in Wonderland. Ta-da! Which I can't understand if you're wondering. I've been listening to it and I've been going, no, this is difficult. But the point was that this month I got a nice charge of 2 Audible accounts, one in American dollars that got converted as well, so that was fun. But that meant that this month I ended up looking at my bank account and going, hey, Audible has charged me twice, what's happened here? And so I have 2 new audiobooks to show you, rather than just 1. Whoopsie daisies. But that's okay, we're just gonna take it in our stride and pretend it doesn't matter. The first book I got from Audible is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by the author on the bottom. I can't remember who it is and I can't bother looking it up. I've heard so many good things, not only about this book, but about the audiobook for it, so I'm really excited to read this one. I think I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. The second book that I ended up getting this month on recommendation from one of my friends was Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I think this one will be fantastic as well. From the sample that I heard, it just sounds like it's going to be absolutely hilarious. Okay, we're finally on to the last section of this book haul, and that is the books that I've received for review. So excitingly, very excitingly, this month it finally happened. I was sent physical books by the publishing companies to review. I'm like super stoked about that. I can't believe that I finally got them, and I'm so excited because all the books that I've received just look fantastic. I'm thrilled to jump into all of them. I have received 5 so far. So I've received books so far from from Allen and Unwin and Bloomsbury. So let's start with the A&U books. First up I have The Red Ribbon by Lucy Adlington. My review for this both here and on my blog is up, so you can go have a read what I thought of that. This one is set during World War II. It's set in Auschwitz. It follows a very young girl who is stuck in the concentration camp and takes up a role of a seamstress while she's there. So that's sort of her ticket to staying alive while she's in the camp. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's not a very long read at all. You will fly through it. It has a beautiful ending to it, which is totally surprising coming from this sort of book, but my goodness, I can't recommend this one enough. It's just such a rewarding read. It's heartbreaking, it's heartwarming, it's educational, it's eye-opening, it's everything that you want in the book set in Auschwitz. Like, read this book, guys. You need to read this book. The next one that I got is The Nearest Faraway Place from Hayley Long. I believe this one is about 2 boys and they are in a car crash with their family and their parents die. So they go to live with their aunt and uncle. It has a very sort of ambiguous blurb, so I'm not quite sure where it's going. But the last bit of the blurb says, a loving aunt and uncle give the boys a new home in Wales. Yay, Wales! And Dylan and Griff have everything they need. Even so, Dylan is worried whether Griff is coping. But Dylan needs to be braver than his brother. There is something very important he needs to face up to before he can move on. For some reason my brain's like, there's gonna be fairies in this book, but whatever the brave thing is that he has to face up to is probably not fantasy. But I love the cover and I think it's gonna be a really sad but interesting read. I think this is probably the next one I'm gonna pick up as well out of all the ones that I've got, so I forgot to say when things are coming out. Oh, I'm useless. The Red Ribbon came out in September. The paperback version like this is coming out in November, at least in Australia. I'm not sure about where else. And of course The Nearest Faraway Place is also already out, but I think the paperback again is coming out in November. The next book I received from Allen and Unwin was The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. There is a small dragon in this one and like I could have died when I got sent this book. I'm so excited about it. I was anticipating this book's release, so I can't wait to dive into it. This one is about a village that believes there is an evil witch living in the woods that they are right next to. They think that they need to complete a sacrifice every year, and that sacrifice is a baby. So this village is sacrificing a baby into the woods for this witch every year, but the witch is actually a lovely lady, very nice lady, and she saves this child. So she takes the baby and she brings it to the other side of the woods where there is a nicer village who does not sacrifice the children. Now the plot line is that she nourishes the child on starlight on the way through, however one does that, I assume magic. But this time when she's taking a child across, she accidentally nourishes her on moonlight and she ends up with magical powers. So I don't know about you, but I think that sounds fantastic, whimsical, and I'm so excited to dive into it. Again, this one is out in hardback, but the paperback is coming out in November. The next 2 books I received from Bloomsbury. So the next book I got is Wolf Children by Paul Dowswell. So hard to say. If you are familiar with the author, he wrote Auslander. I am familiar with that, but I don't know whether you will be. This book sounds fantastic. It is set in post-World War II Germany and is about children trying to survive in a severely war-torn country. I think it sounds absolutely phenomenal and I am so excited. I believe we're going to have a little group of characters. Yeah, I'm kind of getting Maze Runner feels from this. I don't know why. I mean, I haven't even read the Maze Runner, but the idea that we're gonna have this group of characters banding together to try and survive in this world, I think it's going to be a very interesting read. This one actually came out at the end of August, so you can already get your hands on a copy of this one if you like. And the last book that I have to show you is The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord. I am absolutely stoked that I got an Emery Lord book. She wrote When We Collided, if you're familiar with that book when it came out last year. First of all, isn't this cover just gorgeous? I absolutely love the design. And it is a contemporary romance story, so it's about a girl whose boyfriend died in a swimming accident, and then she's trying to get her life back together again. So I'm sure it will be absolutely heartbreaking, but I can't wait to dive into it. This one is coming out on the 1st of November, so a couple weeks away now, and then you will be able to get your hands on a copy of this version of the book, which is very exciting. Okay, so that brings us to the end of my October book haul thus far. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that I won't get too many more books in October now, otherwise I may actually die under my bookshelf collapsing, but I guess we'll see. So there may be a part 2 to my October book haul if I do receive any more books, or I might just do them in September. We shall see. I am so excited to get to all of these books. Ooh. And the ones that I have already read have been fantastic, so that leaves me with high hopes. Other than that, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!